Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm Jody, and each week we sit down with someone who lives right here in the 39 North, 94 West region of Missouri. Since launching in September of 2025, we have had more than 37 fascinating conversations, and we're able to keep having them thanks to the support of our local sponsors who help cover the production and the editing costs associated with this program. If you're interested in supporting this form of local journalism, check out the show notes and reach out. We'd love to have you join this incredible group of community supporters. Wallman Families Deluxe Truck Stop, E.L. Crawford Construction, Greater Than Financial, Genus Cafe and Catering, North Central Missouri College, Scooters Coffee, and Pancakes, Pups, and Suds. I cannot thank them enough. Today, I'm joined by Stacey Schneitter Blake. Most of us know the Schneitter name because of fireworks, but what many people may not realize is that Stacy serves as the president of the National Fireworks Association while also helping lead her family's business, a fourth-generation company that's been operating since 1895. But Stacy's story is about much more than fireworks. It's about growing up locally, raising a family right here in Andrew County, investing in our communities, supporting traditions like Savannah's fireworks celebration, and helping shape the future of our region. We're going to talk about family legacy and leadership, what she is doing for the economic development of our region, and what it's like being a woman leading in a traditionally male-dominated industry. Stacy, thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so tell me about growing up locally, because you went to Lafayette High School.
I did.
But you have kids that you're raising right here in Andrew County.
Yes. So I grew up in the north side of St. Joe. Went to Lafayette 25 years ago. I'm going to date myself a little bit. Living in the north side, it's just been a great place. There's a lot of growth in the north side of St. Joe. I live just north of Country Club now. My husband grew up during his childhood here in Savannah for some of the years. And he said those were the best days of his life. And so when we got married, we were like, where do we want to settle? We looked for a house for a long time. We decided in Andrew County. We looked for many years. We actually visited one of the Savannah homecomings with the Hares. And after that, I said, Nathan, I'm sold. We're moving to Andrew County. We'll just keep looking. And it was just about the community. We love the spirit up here. Nowhere's perfect. And we have loved it. Just that small town feel. You want to celebrate your community. You want to be involved. And that just aligned with our values and what we wanted for our family.
So Lafayette, I have to ask, what are your feelings?
You have to put trust into some leadership. Obviously we don't get a vote in St. Joe, and there's a lot of good people in St. Joe that want really great things. But you have to make hard decisions. Yes, Lafayette's near and dear to my heart. I got to walk the halls for our reunion this in May. And so that was, it's cherishing those memories and hoping that, their new adventure will be awesome for new, I think they're still keeping it as a middle school. And maybe there's a reason, and you got to have faith in that. But yeah, it's a little tough to swallow some days, but you have to be excited and hope for the best for our community.
Absolutely. For sure. Well, you talk about, the great people of St. Joe. So is there anybody that still you look back on moments where you're like, they definitely were an influence in my life? They taught me some of the lessons that I'm using today.
Yes, there's probably plenty of those. Obviously, in your high school days, you're trying to find yourself. And Terry Johnson, a counselor at Lafayette, she had put me into things with the chamber and as a student liaison. And I was like, am I really do you see me here? Is that I don't see those qualities in myself, but she must have. And, I got very involved in student government when I was in college at Missouri Western. I was on SGA. They had me traveling everywhere. And there was always something, that piece I didn't realize that I would need for this time in my life now. But yeah, so she was a great one. There, I had a professor at Missouri Western that I don't know if I would have finished college without her. I went through some major tragedy during those times at Missouri Western. My grandpa and my dad both passed away within a year of each other while I was there. Left our family with this business. And my sister was down at the Kansas City Art Institute at the time, or she was at school here at Lafayette when my dad passed away. And then college, she was down in Kansas City. And so I kind of changed my major. I sat down with my advisor. She was amazing. And she kind of just said, hey, let's just rewind a little bit. Let's take a breather and let's see how this is going to pan out. I decided, okay, we've got this business, we've got this family. I got to help my mom. And it kind of took off from there.
What did you want to do before I'm so curious. Did you want to be a dancer?
No, I actually grew up a figure skater.
Okay. Were you thinking, dreaming?
So, I love people, and that kind of is my passion with anything I do. Going at Missouri Western, I didn't know I was going to end up there either. I thought I was going to go on to Colorado. Those were my big dreams, and be a physical therapist. And then I kind of got in and settled in at Missouri Western. I lived at the dorms because I wanted that experience. And my dad said, hey, why don't you live in the dorms, get that experience? I had the A+ scholarship at the time. So I'd went through 3 different majors. I thought I was going to actually end up in counseling because I love people so much.
Yeah.
I ended up with a marketing degree, which is kind of using some of those same brain tactics and things like that, and just figuring people out. And I just love people. And so with what I do now, I get to love people all over the world.
It's incredible. I cannot wait to get down to this section. I'm like, let's get it on. Okay, so this business of your family's dates back to 1895.
Yeah.
So there must have been some tremendous pressure in that moment where you lose that generational leadership and you do have to make a decision. Like, are you going to step up or are you going to kind of like let go of that? Was that even a question for you?
I was 19 when all this kind of started. I thought, when you're 19 years old, you think you're going to have your parents forever, and your grandparents that, multiple generations of legacy within this business. And my great-great-grandfather before that also had businesses, but in Warrensburg, Missouri. And so they had ended up coming here and with a sporting goods store, a radio store, and they were selling fireworks out of the back of their trunk because the samples were coming in with the sporting goods. And so my great-grandpa was selling them as a child out from the back of his trunk. And that's the business that ended up taking off so well.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
And then do you think they could ever imagine that you would be the president of the National Fireworks Association all these years later? Like, I can't even imagine how proud they are of you.
Oh, I would hope so.
But tell us a little bit about this journey. How did you get here? Because, as the first female to lead this organization, we're just incredibly proud of you. So tell me this story. Like, how did that happen?
Well, so our family, my grandpa, my dad, and my mom, Schneider's was one of the founding members of the National Fireworks Association. And it's always been part of our business, a part of our family. There's always been kind of that need for the small business. And the NFA is from anywhere from hobbyist all the way up to, international suppliers. There's something for everybody within our industry. And we really care about the mom and pops. They need to have a platform to be also able to voice their opinion, the hobbyists, the international members. And so this is a great place that was kind of evolved from there. And growing up in it, I started going at 19, 20 years old. And so I've been going to the NFA for many years, volunteering, because my family was such a crucial part of the initial part of it. And so we've just kind of had fun. We have expos every year. There's a giant auction. And, when my dad and Grandpa passed away, my mom started donating a lot of their collection to the NFA through the auction because she wanted it in the hands of the industry to cherish it instead of sitting in boxes somewhere and up in people's display or their walls and things. So that's kind of where we were always kind of involved in helping, and I was on committees and things like that. I was actually nominated prior and I turned it down.
Busy mom.
I'm a busy mom, and my mom has had some health issues, and I just knew it wasn't time. And then it came back around. This is actually my second term as president now, and I got nominated again, and I decided, okay, I'm going to do it this time. I talked to the past president and I said, hey, I'm willing to take this on, but I need to make sure that you are also on board to help me with
Yeah.
And he has not disappointed me with that. We have a great team. The NFA staff and board has an amazing team. We all work in our strengths, and we make it fun. And we continue to grow the association. We are now growing out of most of the places that we go and visit. And so we're always looking for a new place to come. So I did run, and I became the first female president of the National Fireworks Association a few years ago. It's been fun. It has had many challenges, and I've grown so much personally and just within the industry. I care about our industry because at the end of the day, if you meet somebody and you say you do fireworks, and most people's eyes get really big when they say, oh, what do you do for a living? And I tell them, and they're like, whoa, hold on. We don't hear that very often. But everyone has a connection. They have a story, whether positive or negative. But most of the time they're like, oh, my family did this, or we went to this show. And they have an experience. They have a feeling. And I want to make sure that continues for generations to come.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big year, 250
years. This is a big year, the semi-sesquicentennial.
And so, gosh, so many questions about that and all of the celebrations that you'll be supporting. But I want to ask you about your platform because, as I understand it, you kind of do have one. You're fighting for the rights of almost 800 or more than 800 businesses. So what are the things that are important to you from a national perspective when it comes to that?
There's many different areas of concern. With ours, we have a lot of regulatory. We have a lot of hobbyists in ours, and we have a lot of, we are transporting explosives throughout the country.
Did you see that video?
I did.
So, I mean, things go viral, right? NBC News.
Yes.
This video just recently of this truck exploding. I thought, I can't wait to ask her about that.
And that's why we have safety foundations. I'm also a director on the American Pyrotechnic Safety and Education Foundation. Those things are important. We need to be able to educate, DOT, PHMSA. We work closely with ATF, CPSC, and those are the reasons, because there could be an accident, and we need to make sure to be ready and to help them navigate this too. And there was no injuries with that, which was great, and we're very thankful for that. But there's, that's why we have the regulations that we do.
And tell me about tariffs, because it's on everybody's mind.
Oh, yeah. Tariffs last year, they were probably my biggest cuss word.
Was it better this year?
Yeah, there's still, I work with Mark Anderson in Washington, D.C. quite a bit. He kind of is one of our main lobbyists there, and he kind of keeps us. They have been like this because obviously 90-something% of all fireworks are manufactured in China. And so that has been a hot topic. So I have been back and forth to D.C. quite a bit on Zooms with, White House liaisons, and just working through this. We are such a hyper seasonal business. And so when the height of all that, we had a lot of stuff coming in. And so how do we help our members? How do we lobby for them? How do we, communicate? We can't, all of our stuff comes in, some of the bigger companies, they're coming in shipments all year round. But some of your mom and pops are just getting 1 or 2 containers. Some of them got hit with over 150% tariff. So we've got to be helping those people with Schneider's and, for the National Fireworks Association. So we kind of, because we also have customers that drop ship through us, and so we don't see it. So we're constantly having to keep up on this. And so the NFA, that's one of the best things, they able to get out communication to our members very quickly. We had a lot of collaboration with another association, the APA. They've been great to work with. And that's been a really huge success for both associations that are collaborating. You don't see that always in industries. We always, our main thing is safety. So we want to make sure to always promote that, especially going into America 250. And with St. Joe and Kansas City being so close to these World Cup games, 2 weeks before the 4th of July, we're going to have an influx of people from other countries, and their regulations are not like ours. And so we want to make sure to continue to promote safety, that they understand our rules here to keep people safe and things like that too. So that's a whole nother thing we're working on.
Being the first female leader in the room and talking to some of these people, what has your experience been? Like, I'm sure that people are respectful. Well, we hope people are respectful. Yep. But has it been an interesting ride?
It has. It is a mostly male-dominated industry. But I also think being from a family that's a multi-generational, one of the oldest fireworks families in the country, there's been a lot of, some people do see me just as Rick's daughter and Ed's granddaughter, and just kind of watch me grow up.
Yeah.
But there's, if you guys have been at Schneider's, you'll see some females launching some boxes and loading trucks, not like anything you've ever seen. And, we'll get people at Schneider's, like a wholesale customer, pull up and they go, "Where are your workers?" And we're like, "We're right here."
Yeah. We are the workers.
We are the workers. And you want more space, we'll make it.
Yeah.
And so
we'll do it better than anybody.
And my sister, she is the master at it. And she was like, she'll go, "We are it."
Yeah.
And then sometimes they'll apologize.
But
yeah, we just have to, sometimes being a female, you have to work a little bit harder to earn more respect. Mm-hmm. The fireworks industry has been kind to me. It's not like they're just seeing who I am. I've been around, or being the girls running around, since we were little, going to these things. But, there's a lot of respect from the industry. There's been a little grumbles probably behind my back, but that's,
who cares?
I'm happy to work with them.
That's right. So tell me a little bit about preparing for this big, huge, whatever centennial you called it. What is it?
The semi-sesquicentennial.
The semi-sesquicentennial.
Semi-sesquicentennial.
So what has changed in the industry, first of all, that in preparation for this, that you guys have had to make some adjustments on, and how big is it going to be?
Well, that's a great question. So obviously, last year when you start purchasing from a wholesale perspective, you purchase 12 to 18 months prior. So we were already purchasing stuff for this season 18 months ago. Mm. And looking through videos, going to the NFA Expo, going to some other shoots, and you sit there and you watch videos and you watch things live. And so creating, we have our own brand at Schneider's. We have Danger Doll. That's a whole nother conversation. And, lots of red, white, and blue. But we were dealing with tariffs last year at this time very heavily. We didn't know where we were going to sit. And so, but you're also supposed to be preparing for one of the biggest celebrations within our generation. And so we've been preparing for this for over 18 months, trying to make sure we had enough inventory, not only because we also supply people that shoot shows. We shoot shows. We mostly are a wholesale company. So we are distributing to tents and stands all over the United States. Mm-hmm. And we have the one retail stand that's here in St. Joe. So we've been preparing for this, definitely preparing to have more red, white, and blue, Americana. From the NFA side, we've been, in DC talking about this for the last 2 years. Hey, remember this is coming. Remember this is coming. And it should be a perfect storm. The 4th of July falls on a Saturday. And, we just want to make sure, everybody's prepared and everybody is communicated well to, on the Schneitter side of it, please order early. And on the retail side of it, please come in and shop early. And so to beat the crowd.
I have to ask about drones. I was talking to somebody earlier and they're like, please ask her how this has affected the industry. I'm curious, has it?
There has been lots of conversations about drones. A lot of fireworks companies utilize drones and fireworks. And some cities have also went to drone-only shows. Some of
What
those.
are your feelings on drones?
Well, I think they're really cool.
Okay.
But I think they are really innovative when you're shooting them with fireworks or fireworks off the drones.
Yeah.
So we also, another company, a very old company out of Cincinnati, they kind of partner with us and use some of our shoot crew for Worlds of Fun. So my husband's part of that. So he goes down and he's one of their team leads down there for those shows. And a couple years ago, they did drone and fireworks. They help tell a story. Fireworks, when we're going to design a show, there's a lot of thought behind it. And okay, we're going to use these products to tell a story, especially if you're using music. But some of it's just a drone only show. There isn't that excitement that it feels it in your chest. And so I think there's a space for both. There are cities and townships that have went drone only, and then the next year went back to a fireworks show, or did a mix of them.
I love that you're our resident pyro. I just love it. I attended the Savannah fireworks last year. You had an audience of, I think, 2,000 people. We're about to do it again. I was so impressed. I was like, those fireworks, though. What in the world? First of all, what was it like being part of something like that where there was such a great turnout? And how in the world did you make that show so great? I'm just
well, we have a great team. Justin Palmer is our lead shooter, and he's also an Andrew County resident. And so his son goes up to the high school, and he's got one at Avenue City. And, we're part of this community. We wanted to make it great. It was kind of a last minute, can you help us pull this off? And I was like, okay, this is for Savannah. Okay, we got to do it. And so we did kind of have to go around with some dates so that way we've got a perfect location out there. And it's a great location where we can use multi-level of our products. So when you've got to shoot past trees and things like that, you can't see a lot of those ground effects or those close prox products. And so that show's great because we've got extra space with the golf course that we can do multi-levels with the show. And we didn't know if, it was brand new last year. We didn't know what the turnout would be. We worked with their budget. We donated some product to that show as well, just because it's our community.
Thank you for doing that and doing it again this year. Speaking of community, I wanted to talk to you after that show because I was like, she's amazing. I want to learn more about her. Then I talked to Stephen Craig, and he was enlightening the heck out of us about your position nationally, and then just your desire to really bring the association to St. Joe. So tell me a little bit about that project and the investment of time for you.
Yeah. So, Steve is great. I love working with Steve. He has big ideas, and somehow I continue to pull off his show with his new ideas. We definitely have some tricks up our sleeve this year that he doesn't know about yet. And so we're really excited. We also shoot his show, and I love his, getting to meet Steve years ago. His first company was buying fireworks, as you know.
Yeah.
And I love his story that we got to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And when Steve, he wants to grow communities. And this is his community. And I love that about him. And when he has a project, he likes to use local people. And that's not just here in St. Joe, it's in other communities too. And I love it because he wants to continue to invest in the community that he's investing in. And I really appreciate that in him, and I honor him for that. And it's one of those things, St. Joe can sometimes get a bad rap. And my family has been here for generation after generation. And I was talking to Steve and I said, Steve, what are you building over there where, Applebee's was? He's like, oh, Steve, I'm doing this, da, da, da. And I was like, well, why? It's not big enough. And he's like, what do you mean it's not big enough? And I was like, I'm sending out all these RFPs. The association is all over the United States. St. Joe would be great, And I was like, what do you do with the mall? Why can't we use Sears? Yeah. And Brett Easley is a great guy too. And I've talked to him about it some too. And he's a great guy for St. Joe. So
yeah, shout out to Brett.
Shout out to Brett.
Can you come? I don't know where you are, but can you come on the podcast?
His son's actually working at Schneider's. And so, anyways, I was talking to Steve and he's like, hold on a minute. And I was like, and he was like, well, why are you using this? I was like, it's not big enough either. I was like, there is a group of expos that, St. Joe is one of those communities. Like, we need to continue to bring money into St. Joe to make it better. And I was like, our economic impact of just the NFA in 1 week when we were in Rogers last year was $3 million in 7 days. And I was like, we need to do this in St. Joe. We are right up the road from the airport. And I was like, not just, NFA, but, boat shows, expos, all of these conventions that haven't even looked here. And we're so close to Kansas City. I was like, Steve, what are you doing with
the mall?
With the mall. And I was like, Sears is a great place for that. And I was like, you've got, space for ballrooms and you've got the infrastructure. And so it's been really fun. Steve actually came to one of the conventions for part of a day and down in Rogers. And I was like, this is a great place for you to come and understand what I'm doing here. And he came and this is great because, fireworks are part of his history too. Mm-hmm. And so it's been really fun kind of seeing the blueprints with them and working with them and saying, okay, I think you need some kind of seating here. And I think, you need an office with windows here or, a closed off office, things like that, breakout rooms and things like that. Not just for the NFA, but for St. Joe too. I was like, we are trying to find places because we're looking and this would be a great place right in the middle of the country. Obviously our board, and we have an expo coordinator. I keep telling Steve, we got to get her on board. Yeah. So she's the main decision maker.
We will try to bring our, I get that. Well, one question that I really regret not asking him is, what about the rest of the place? Are you thinking if the association, came to the Sears wing and there was tons of space and you guys were all sprawled out. Is there any idea about what's going to happen for the rest of the space?
I think Steve has some ideas.
Okay.
I have to ask Steve on those.
Okay. Will do. Well, one question I didn't ask out of that hour-long interview.
I think he has some ideas.
Good.
So.
Good. And how are you being a part of it? I know you've seen the plans. Yep. Are you going to be kind of a point person on that project?
I'm really not sure.
Not yet. Don't know yet.
I don't know yet, but
okay.
I have really enjoyed working with Steve on it. And sometimes it's just saying, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
Right? And people, sometimes I hear, the grumbles of St. Joe and nothing's ever changing. Well, just take one little step.
Yeah.
Just ask or
be the person.
Yeah. Go and pick up trash. Go to Edison or any of those elementary schools and go and read a book. Mm-hmm. Those kids at all of the elementary schools, go invest into your community. And that's how things grow. If just 5 people went and did it and then they could inspire, it could be a ripple effect. And this is the time that we need it. We want to grow our community. If you want it better, what are you doing to help? Mm-hmm. And so there's one of those, I was like, Steve, this could be great for St. Joe. And even most of us, our kids are here, but a lot of us, we work in St. Joe. Mm-hmm. And that's where we're making a living is in St. Joe. Mm-hmm. And so we want the best for St. Joe and our community up here in Savannah and Andrew County.
Well, and I don't know how many people have said this to me, like what's good for St. Joe is good for Andrew County because I mean, how can it not be? We can't just root for our community when we know that there's things happening down there that really could be better. And everybody can do something, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can do something. I love
Even
that.
at a little level.
What accomplishment would you say that you're most proud of that has nothing to do with business?
Being a mom.
Tell us about your kiddos real quick.
Oh, try not to get emotional. It's been kind of an emotional month with my oldest graduating here from Savannah. Family, this has been one of those things, I've got a lot of, with being an entrepreneur, one of the greatest things is I do work with my family. And that sometimes can be a challenge because we've got lots of moving parts. But my family is what drives a lot of this. I also want my girls to see that they can succeed in anything they want to do. But family is definitely we try to always make sure to make the most of things. And I want their faith to grow and be good people. Nobody's perfect, but I do, I love my family. And I want the best for them, especially being, girls and I don't know what generations to come, what it's going to look like, what their job, but my most important is my family.
Well, I love that. I don't know if you'll be sane by the time those two girls graduate, but as my Aiden is graduating, your two will be graduating, and they're your last two. So if you need a hug that day,
oh yeah,
we got junior and senior year left, girl. We'll make it. I love that. So if someone was describing Stacey Blake in 20 years, what would you hope that they would say?
That she loved people and loved God.
Oh, I love that. That's a good one. And what do you hope that your children learn from watching the way that you have lived and worked?
I really hope they just do things scared and just really reach for, there's a lot of things I've done in the last 20 years that were really scary. And just do it scared. If you see that you can make a change or you feel a passion for something, but don't hold back. Just do it scared.
Oh my gosh, that is such good advice. Okay, any secret Schneitter Fireworks stories, business stories that St. Joe doesn't know?
That's a good question. Oh, I've got a great one.
Okay.
So back in the 70s, we are a big Star Wars family.
Ooh.
And for the Return of the Jedi, they bought their fireworks from Schneider's for the movie.
No way.
Yep. We still have the invoice of the company that shot for them. So there's a little Schneider secret for you.
I love that claim to fame.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
And if you see our Danger Doll brand, you'll kind of see the artwork. And sometimes Tracy will put pieces of Schneider history in there or something that ties to one of us. Just so you know, all of our artwork is done here in St. Joe. Tracy went to the Kansas City Art Institute, and we've used all local people and friends to be able to digitize all of the artwork for that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Stacey, thank you so much for being with us today. It is just such a joy, not only to hear from you and learn about you and get to know you, but to hear about fireworks. Like, we're going to see these celebrations. They're going to be epic. And everyone appreciates it so much. It's like gives us so much excitement, like you say, and it makes our chests pound. But there's so much behind the scenes that we would have never known without talking to you. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My thanks again to Stacy for joining me on the 3994. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to subscribe, follow, and share the podcast with a friend. These simple actions help us continue to bring meaningful conversations with the people who are making a difference right here in our community. I'd also like to thank our sponsors for helping us to make this podcast possible. You can find this episode and all past episodes wherever you listen to your podcast. And be sure to follow the 3994 on social media for those clips, highlights, and upcoming guests. Don't forget to check out YouTube as well. Until next time, I'm Jody O'Brien. Thanks for listening to the 3994.